Listen to me right now, because my brain is absolutely melting out of my ears. And I have been staring at my screen for 12 hours straight drinking stale coffee. So forgive me if this sounds like a breathless rant. But I just got the scoop of the century regarding General Hospital, and I literally cannot type fast enough to get this out of my head and onto the page. You guys, you all thought Marco Rios was dead. We all thought Marco Rios was dead. The whole town of Port Charles is currently weeping and screaming and pointing fingers over a corpse that isn't even Marco. And I am shaking just thinking about the sheer audacity of this plot twist. So buckle up, because Jason Morgan just pulled off the most insane, twisted, brilliant, and deeply dangerous stunt in the history of this show. And if the truth gets out, Port Charles is going to burn to the ground. And let's just start at the beginning of this bloody mess, because we all saw the setup. Ross Cullum, the dirty WSB director with a god complex and a knife. He found out Marco stole Britt Westbourne's Huntington's medication. And Cullum doesn't just get mad, he gets lethal. So he tracked Marco down to Alexis Davis's law office. We all knew it was coming. The dread was real. And then Alexis walked into her office and found the aftermath. A gruesome, bloody, horrifying crime scene. Blood everywhere. A body on the floor. Alexis was traumatized. Lucas Jones is currently sobbing his eyes out, leaning on Elizabeth Baldwin because his boyfriend is gone. Jen Sidwell is tearing the town apart, vowing violent revenge on Sonny Corinthos because Cullum meticulously framed the mob boss. But here is the massive, earth-shattering kicker. It was all fake. All of it. Jason Morgan staged the entire thing. And I mean every single drop of blood. Every single horrifying detail. Jason knew Cullum was coming for Marco. He knew Marco was a dead man walking because Cullum had discovered the missing vials. So Jason did what Jason does best. He played God. But he didn't just shoot Cullum. He orchestrated a theatrical masterpiece right in the middle of a law office. Jason got his hands on a decoy corpse. A literal dead body from God knows where. And he had it meticulously disguised to look exactly like Marco Rios. The hair, the clothes, the build, everything was a perfect match. And then he pumped that office full of fake blood. So much fake blood that it looked like a slaughterhouse. So picture this. Cullum sneaks into the law office. He thinks he's the apex predator. He has his knife ready. He sees the figure in the dim light. He strikes. He stabs and slashes and does his horrific work. And in the dark, in the adrenaline rush of the kill, Cullum doesn't even realize he is stabbing a decoy. He doesn't realize the blood pooling around his shoes is a synthetic mixture Jason planted. Cullum just smiles. That sick, twisted, satisfied smile. He wipes his blade, sets up the frame job to point straight at Sonny Corinthos, and walks out into the Port Charles night thinking he just solved his Marco problem forever. The absolute hubris of this man. He really thought he won. But Jason was 10 steps ahead the entire time. And where is Marco Rios while all this grieving and screaming is happening? He is on a boat. A literal boat heading straight for South America. Safe, breathing, completely untouched by Cullum's blade. Jason managed to intercept Marco, swap him out with the decoy, and smuggle him out of town before Cullum even arrived. Just let that sink in. Jason saved Marco's life by faking his brutal murder. And he left the decoy behind for Alexis to find. Poor Alexis. She is going to need years of therapy after walking into that office. She thought she was just going to read some handwritten legal notes. Instead, she found a horror movie set. And she has no idea it's fake. The cops have no idea. The PCPD is treating this as a legitimate homicide. But think about the ripple effects of this lie. It is staggering. Lucas Jones is completely broken. His heart is shattered into a million pieces. Elizabeth is holding him together, and Harrison Chase is grilling him about motives, and Lucas is just drowning in grief. And it's all based on a lie. Marco is alive, but Jason can't tell Lucas. He can't tell anyone. Because the moment this secret leaks, the moment one person whispers that Marco is actually sipping a drink on a boat to South America, the illusion shatters. And if the illusion shatters, Ross Cullum finds out he was played. And let me tell you something about Ross Cullum. You do not play Ross Cullum and live to tell the tale. This man is already holding Britt Westbourne hostage. He has threatened to kill Jason. He has threatened to kill Rocco Falconeri. He is a monster. So imagine what happens when he realizes his perfect murder was a magic trick. His wrath will be biblical. He won't just go after Marco again. He will scorch the earth. He will tear Port Charles apart, brick by brick, to punish the people who made a fool out of him. Jason knows this. That is why the secret has to hold. It has to be absolute. And then there is the Sonny Corinthos factor. Oh my god, the Sonny factor. Cullum set Sonny up to take the fall for this fake murder. He planted evidence. He made sure the trail led straight to the mob boss. So now Rick Lansing is scrambling to build a criminal defense strategy for a murder that never actually happened. Sonny is bracing for war. And Jens Sidwell. Sidwell is a grieving father who happens to be a ruthless criminal mastermind himself. Sidwell is crying on Ava Jerome's shoulder one minute and plotting to assassinate Sonny the next. Sidwell truly believes Sonny butchered his son. The mob war that is brewing right now is entirely based on a phantom corpse. And Jason is just sitting back watching the chaos unfold, knowing he holds the strings. But Jason is also running out of time, because he missed his meeting with Britt at Pier 55. Dante arrested him on that WSB warrant, delaying him just long enough for Cullum to swoop in and drag Britt back to Windermere. So Jason saved Marco, but he lost Britt in the process. And now Britt is facing a terrifying countdown. Cullum has told her she is a dead woman if she doesn't finish that cold fusion prototype by tomorrow. The stakes have never been higher. And Jason is stuck dealing with the police while Britt is trapped in a castle with a madman. I just can't get over the logistics of this fake death. How did Jason get the body into the office? Who was the decoy? Did he get Spinelli to help with the prosthetics? It is so wild. It feels like classic Jason Morgan, but dialed up to an 11. The sheer cold-blooded calculation required to set up a fake crime scene in a law office while the killer is literally on his way. It is insane. And it is brilliant. But it is a ticking time bomb, because people are already snooping. Jocelyn Jax is putting the pieces together. She is having light bulb moments. She realizes Cullum is the real bad guy and Sonny is being framed. But what happens if Jocelyn digs too deep and realizes the body isn't Marco's? What if she finds a discrepancy in the autopsy report? Because surely the coroner is going to notice that the DNA doesn't match right, unless Jason paid off the coroner too. Which, let's be honest, he probably did. Jason has deep pockets and deep connections. But still, secrets this big do not stay buried in Port Charles. They always claw their way out. And Lulu Spencer is also poking around. Nathan West spilled the beans about how dangerous Cullum is, and now Lulu is on a fishing expedition. She is trying to figure out what Britt is caught up in. Rocco has been snooping too. The entire Falconeri family is basically one step away from getting themselves killed by Cullum. If Lulu stumbles onto the truth about Marco, she might try to publish it. She's an investigative journalist. It's in her blood! And if she prints that Marco Rios is alive, Cullum will read it. And then Cullum will kill her. It is that simple. I am so stressed out writing this. My hands are cramping. But you need to understand the gravity of this situation. Jason Morgan has essentially created a parallel reality for Port Charles. In this reality, Marco is dead, Sonny is a killer, and Sidwell is a grieving victim. But in actual reality, Marco is on a cruise, Sonny is innocent, and Sidwell is crying over a stranger's corpse. The cognitive dissonance is mind-blowing. And Jason has to maintain this lie while simultaneously trying to rescue Britt from Windermere before Cullum executes her. And let's talk about Marco for a second. Marco Rios, the guy who thought he was untouchable because of his daddy. He stole those meds for Britt because he wanted to be a hero. He wanted to help Lucas. And he almost died for it. If Jason hadn't intervened, Marco would be the one in a body bag right now. I wonder if Marco even realizes how close he came to the end. He's probably sitting on that boat looking out at the ocean, realizing that his entire life in Port Charles is over. He can never come back. He can never see Lucas again. Because if he does, he's dead. It's a tragic kind of freedom, but maybe it's for the best. Marco was in over his head. He was playing a dangerous game with dangerous men. Cullum is not someone you cross, and now Cullum thinks he won. That is the most terrifying part of all of this. Cullum is walking around Port Charles with the swagger of a man who just successfully murdered his enemy and framed his rival. He feels invincible. And an invincible Ross Cullum is a nightmare for everyone else. He is going to push harder. He is going to demand more from Britt. He is going to keep threatening Jason and Rocco because he thinks there are no consequences for his actions. So what happens next, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I am just a tired blogger trying to make sense of this madness. Will Jason manage to save Britt? Will Sonny survive Sidwell's revenge attempts? Will Lucas ever find out that the love of his life is actually alive and well? The drama is just overflowing, and I am here for it. But I am also terrified, because the moment that fake blood washes away, the real blood is going to start flowing, and Port Charles will never be the same again. And another thing, what about Alexis? She is the one who asked Marco to leave handwritten notes on that legal file. She inadvertently set him up to be in that office at that exact time. The guilt she must be feeling right now. And it's all for nothing, because she didn't find Marco. She found a prop in Jason Morgan's grand theatrical production. It's almost cruel when you think about it. Jason let all these people suffer just to sell the lie. But that's the mob life, isn't it? You do what you have to do to survive. And Jason did what he had to do to save Marco. But the clock is ticking. The truth is out there. And Cullum is not a stupid man. If he catches even a hint of a whisper that Marco is alive, he will tear the city apart. He will go to Alexis's office and demand answers. He will go to the morgue and inspect the body himself. And when he realizes he was tricked, his vengeance will be absolute. Jason better have a backup plan. Because right now he is playing a very dangerous game of chicken with a man who has nothing to lose and a whole lot of power. And I, for one, cannot wait to see how it all explodes. So stay tuned, people. Because this is just the calm before the storm. And the storm is going to be brutal.